welcome back. This episode is Welcome to the Dark Side. It is not about crossing to some kind of freaky stuff. It is about human psyche. Before I will continue, I want you to see a short clip from Gregg Brad that he's sharing his own personal experience. After that, I will share my own.
In this dark place, here, and way off in the distance, I could see all the faces of all the people that I'd ever known, that I'd ever loved, and then I saw faces of people that I hadn't even met yet. And I was always trying to get from here to there. And my conditioning was that darkness is bad and light is good. So every time I started walking to the people I loved, the darkness would pull me off one side or light on the other side, and they'd throw me off balance. I could never get to the people that I loved. And one night, for some reason, I began having this dream, and something different happened, and I didn't have a judgment about the darkness, didn't have a judgment about the light. So they're both there. The moment that I did that, the dark and the light came together, and they became the road that carried me to everyone that I would ever love. And in that moment that I knew what I'd been told about the darkness. Does it exist? Yes. Is it my enemy? Not necessarily.
Gregg's video is rather short. It's about 2 minutes plus. I am leaving the link below in the description box. I want you to understand that he is talking about the human psyche, the programming, the idea that we are growing in, that the darkness, the side where bad things happen, we should avoid, we should not go there, we should not explore because that's not serving us and it can suck us in. It's something really, really bad. But from this video the short clip that you saw, he's admitting that that may not be true. And I'm going to share one of my episodes where I was face to face with the so-called devil. In all of my episodes, I am always out there. It was the moment when the episode in the hospital, the procedure triggers that to the extent that I have no control over that, it just happens. But the procedure in the hospital was necessary for me to have that ability to be up there somewhere. Usually I am with a company with someone. I don't know who that is. I never see him or her because sometimes I feel presence of a female. So let's go to my story. Most of the really nightmarish episodes are happening in the place where I was born. That was a very small place. We basically had only 2 rooms. One was the kitchen and living room and bedroom for in-laws. And there was another room where it was a bedroom, kitchen, and living room and all the other stuff for us. We were growing, at that time there were 4 of us and 2 parents, so you imagine, it was very crowded. In that place, even when I was a kid, there were things that I was afraid of. So in my episodes, I am usually being transferred to that time, to that place. In this specific case, I was, again, in the kitchen, next to the oven, which was also a stove. I found someone sitting in the chair. When I look at that being, I was terrified. It was half human, half beast. So I saw him only from the waist up. It was completely dark. The face was like half bull, half human. The horns, they were maybe 1 inch, maybe 1.5 inch long. And red glowing eyes. When I saw that, I was trying to run. I was terrified. I was paralyzed. It was like people are describing the sleep paralysis. However, that was not a sleep paralysis. I can reassure you that. And as I am trying to turn and run, I mastered a lot of energy, and I stood up to the being, and I said, "That's the best you have for me. That's the best you can do. I am not afraid of you." I was screaming from the top of my lungs. I was furious with that being, and then silence. I stopped because I already came over my fear. I was jolted. I was in the position of trying to confront whatever is sitting there, and I wasn't afraid anymore. And there was a silence for a few seconds. Nothing happened, but I was curious, looking around the image. What I noticed, the first thing, was a very peculiar glow coming from behind that being. It was like a aura all around the creature. And after that, I just got sucked into my body. I jumped on my bed, and I start analyzing this whole thing. The first thing I remember, it was the last thing that I saw. It was that glow all around the being. And there was another aspect of that. That being was not emitting any fear, any anger. It wasn't hostile. It was just sitting there and looking at me. That's it. The fear, the anxiety, the panic attack, the paralysis came from me. It was the reaction to that image. There was no hostile action of that being towards me at all. What's even more puzzling is that glow, because when you understand the energy patterns, you will understand that this was not done out of hatred, but rather it was done out of love. It was done for me to face my own fear, my own perception of what devil is, of what the old programming, to see if I can see through this whole thing. We all have now and then episodes like that. Many people, I met a few where they share this stuff, like they were afraid to go over a bridge because there was nothing but abyss on both sides, and they were afraid to go to one side or the other because they knew that if they do that, they are going to be falling down. But once they conquer that fear, it turns out that that was only an illusion, that there was no abyss on either side. They just crossed safely to the other side without any fear. We are programmed all our life to be good, to try to avoid to be bad, because bad is bad. That is not necessarily true. One of the reasons why we have so much violence, so much anger in this world, because we are suppressing the negative emotions, which we were told you are not supposed to express them, you are not supposed to deal with them. All your negative thoughts, they need to be kind of put aside, and you need to be positive. Never do that, because that is gonna grow on you. Bring to your surface, deal with those negative emotions as they arise. A long time ago, I met someone who told me a very interesting idea how to deal when he's angry, how to release the tension that is accumulating in his body, to not to allow to pile up the stuff. He had in the basement a punch buggy. When he was upset, even his wife, she knew that when he goes to the basement, don't interfere. So he was going ballistic over there. He was punching, kicking, screaming, yelling. So sometimes that was really bizarre for people that from the outside. Why is he doing? But when he came back from the basement, he was a completely different person, because the negativity was no longer with him. He just released this whole thing. In this world, we have so many people telling you how much you are being screwed, how much there is someone conspiring against you to hurt you, and we tend to believe that. We are afraid, we are scared, we don't know who they are, but we are angry at them. We are not releasing that energy. It just keeps piling in. And then one day, young people that are told at school that they cannot swear, that they cannot act in certain ways, those emotions are being suppressed. And then when they are 17, 18, they cannot handle this anymore. They grab a gun and they start shooting. It is that because of that. Young people should be allowed to act stupid. And then out of that, they need to learn if whatever they've done is benefiting for them or not. The less we are going to tell them not to do that, the better. Because then they will recognize by themselves that the negative side is always going to be there. But they will know how to deal with that. But suppressing is not the answer. When you have negative thoughts, bring them to the surface. I am going to give you one example. It's going to be very unusual, but imagine that you are angry with someone and you know that the person has power over you because of the position that he's holding. It could be your father, it could be your partner, whatever the case might be. Imagine that in your state where you can go into that world where it's all imaginary, you take that person with you and you can start screaming at that person, you can start fighting with that person, but the intention is to beat up that person to a pulp, to basically the person is bleeding, lying on the ground, completely just conscious a little bit, so he or she is moving. And then look at that image. Take a good look at that image. And now switch positions. You are the one who is lying down there. You are the one who is bleeding. You are the one who is unconscious. You are the one who is in pain. How do you feel about that image right now? Was it worth it? I think we know the answer. This is really crazy exercise. This is a really unusual way of dealing with stuff, but that works. Believe me, if you do that a few times, when negative moments will come, either you are driving your car or you are in conversation with your boss who is so annoying that you want to punch him each time you just see him, your perception is gonna change. And once you stop emitting those frequencies towards that person is going to change. Their behavior towards you is going to change. So never be afraid to bring out the worst feeling you have in you and face them, because they are your friends. This stuff is not to destroy you. But when you are going to follow the path of the people that are telling you that only positive, only love, only good, only, be angel, that's gonna go destroy you. Because that side, the dark side, is going to be constantly depressed, constantly suppressed. And when something is being suppressed, it grows. It will grow to a huge, massive problem. And that's what you are witnessing right now in the world. It's not them that caused this whole problem. It's the people in between, the small people that have a little bit power. They are inventing all the restrictions. They are causing the problems. You need to stand up for yourself. You don't have to be afraid of anybody. You need to stick to your guns. You need to be yourself. You need to be honest with yourself, because if you don't do that, the side that you are avoiding to see, to bring to life, is going to destroy you. Once you conquer this negative stuff, and you will make peace with that, you will allow this to be in front of you, where you do know how to deal with that, your life is going to also change. One of the things that I learned from someone who was a really great therapist, she was from BC. I met her in 96, where she was the Healing Touch therapist, the Barbara Brennan School of Healing Arts. She taught me something very interesting, that we are emitting a lot of negative stuff. And that negative stuff, this is electromagnetic frequency, which is not dissolving, is just floating there, and then it's clumping together. And when there is enough of that, they can manifest something really very negative. And there are beings which are thriving in that environment, and they take that energy and act really aggressive. They can be very violent. To counter that, she said to me, just go, do a meditation, and ask the universe that any unhealthy, negative thoughts in your opinion, whatever you sent up there, and it's still up there, you ask the universe to transform that for feed for plants. Amazing. I never knew that that's possible. But then she was explaining to me that we, as a human, we are surrounded with orgone. This is like a life force in that substance. But when we use that, when the energy is absorbed from that, we release the dead orgone, which is very negative. And there are trees, like pine trees, that they absorb that, they love it, and then they transform that to the orgone energies. So when you have the conversation with yourself during the meditation, and you are asking the universe to tune that to the feed for the plants, that energy is being diverted and is presented to the plants that they need that, because plants love this type of energies. Two things happen. The energies are no longer attached to you. They are dissolved. There is more positive orgone energies moving towards you, and you prosper. You are much more healthier. You don't have so many attachments to certain events where you remember what they were so negative. You don't have attachments to certain people. When you see them, they right away you just you are going into the defensive mode. This is all released. You are giving away this, and you are asking something like the universe to transform that. If you would say, "I'll just get rid of that," that would be still floating, still ready to be used by people that thrive in those in that environment. But since you are giving us specific instructions, this is being used in different ways. Okay, so I hope you learned something from this video today, that not necessarily negative is very bad for you. And if you are someone who is here watching this for the first time and you like what you see, please do subscribe to this channel. Please do check the notification bell, and of course give me thumb up. And please do share those videos. The more people know, the more people learn, the better we are equipped to face the challenges of everyday life. All right. So right now, don't be shocked if I am going to skip some videos. I am right now busy with the book because it's go, 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 go. There are people already working on this. There is agency involved, so yay! It's a lot of work on my part and their part because we want this to be very good stuff. All right, so thank you for today's being with me, and see you in the next video.